levels I should because he's obviously very good. Yeah.
Call the meeting to order. Certify compliance with the open records law.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hooker.
Here.
Councilmember Kavanaugh is absent. Councilmember Menke.
Here.
Councilmember Rissler is absent. Councilmember Weisenbeck.
Here.
Councilmember Weisapple.
Yeah, here. Yeah, here.
4 are present.
So we have a quorum. Let's have the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the two council members that are missing, one is out of town and the other one is at a family event. So next would somebody like to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. It's adopted. Next we move on to public comments. Is there anybody from the public that has any comments about something that's on the agenda or any other items? If you do, please identify yourself for the record. Hearing none, move on to scheduled appearances, which again, we also have none this evening. Next, we have the consent agenda. The following matters may be acted upon by the city council utilizing a single vote. Individual items which any member wishes to address in greater detail or as a separate item on the regular agenda may be removed from the consent agenda upon the request of any council member. We have the minutes from the regular city council meeting from April 24th, 2024. Bartender's license for Harpinder Singh, Poot T. Singh, and Har Winder Singh at To Go. A picnic license for the Durand Fire Relief Association fundraiser on May 18th, 2024. And temporary bartender's license for Matthew L. Gillis, James N.R. Settlemeyer, and Lance R. Bauer for the Durand Fire Relief Association fundraiser on the 18th.
Everything's fine, Mayor.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion concerning the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. It's approved. Next we'll move on to a public hearing for liquor and fermented malt beverage license for Harry One Incorporated, doing business as To Go, owner Harwinder Singh at 610 Highway 10, the BP gas station. We know that we obviously had one already that was approved for this location, and there was a change. I don't know if either the clerk or the minute want to quickly explain why we're having another hearing concerning this one.
The owner of the BP has leased the property out to this other company to run the pump, to run the gas station portion of it. He said he just got to be too much, so he decided to lease it out. He has surrendered his license, so that way this one can come through.
Okay. So in that case, I hereby declare this public hearing open for anybody who would like to speak for or against concerning this liquor and for malt beverage license request. Again, if anybody would like to speak for or against it, the floor is open, the public hearing is open. Hearing no comments, I hereby declare the public hearing closed. Next, we'll move on to the business agenda, mayor's report. Just a few things to talk about. If you haven't been by Tarrant Park, the new basketball court, the cement is in and they're working on that. I know I stopped up the other day on Friday when they were just finishing up the concrete, and it's coming right along. I know they said the one thing about it is they can't paint. You're going to put a nice painting on there with the basketball court. They got to wait 45 to 60 days, I guess, after the concrete's in, because they can't put. There's problems if you put on the paint a little too early. But again, thank you for the to the Durand Sportsman's Club and all the folks that helped bring that project about. By the way, we would have probably told you by now. I was sitting here and we were pretty sure that we were going to get a governor's visit in Durand. We did not get selected. Originally, we thought that the governor was going to come as far as his pothole tour. He ended up picking Menominee and Superior in front of us, so we did not get the opportunity to have the governor come to Durand. Just to remind everybody, of course, the fire department fundraiser, which we just approved the licensing for, coming up on the 18th. Of course, raffle tickets. As we know, it's important They do great work. The money that they raise, of course, that helps us when we need to budget, buy equipment, so on and so forth. And the community really comes together for the fire department fundraiser coming up on the 18th. I would like to put a personal thank you into Mrs. Erickson's third grade class at Caddy Woodlawn. Had the opportunity to be a junior achievement instructor, just finished up yesterday, the 5 weeks. Always enjoyable to get up there. And that third grade's always one because it also has to do with business, but it also has to do with cities. And the last thing we sort of build a city, we put businesses out on a map, and it's sort of fun, and the kids are always good. And so Mrs. Brianna Erickson, the third grade class at Caddy, that I'd like to do. Thank everybody, of course, board review. Back last week, we were able to get through. Had no one come in, and of course, all the efforts. Want to especially thank the city clerk as she gets trained in and make sure we always have somebody ready to go for that. One other thing I'd like to report on, and originally I had talked to a couple of council members, and we had said about that, was going to talk a little bit about the fire department and the last meeting. Since then, we're actually going to hold off one meeting on that. The city administrator put together some information concerning putting in some information concerning what the agreement is. So that conversation we were going to have, we're going to put off one meeting and do it at the second meeting in May instead. That's what I've got. Any questions?
Are you talking about the sirens?
No, this is about the agreement with the rural.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And we just said that we would wait because there was some more information. They agreed that they want to move forward with it. The question is, and we just said we would put it off to the second meeting. I know there's been discussion about if somebody wants to have a conversation about the sirens, what I would do with that is if we're going to have it, I would send it over to the safety committee, and we would have another, because it's been a few years since we've had it. We know there were some complaints about the sirens, and if you would like to bring that up, would you like to bring it up for a discussion?
I can do that at a later date.
At a later
What I really
date.
want, if people are complaining about it, they should show up here and state their,
They could, yeah.
yeah, that would be
Gonna do that.
more impactful, I think.
And I don't even remember how many years ago did we have that conversation? 6 years ago, 5, 6 years ago?
Couple years.
Longer than that, because I was not here.
I think we had it when Jamie changed it.
Yeah, we did, we made
Well,
some
he changed
changes
it
in the
so it wasn't on
policy.
after 9 p.m.
But the policy
9
was to
p.m. to 9
continue
p.m.
that we would do it at noon every day, and that and that we would also do it still for fire calls.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And their reasoning was at the time, and again, if somebody would like to consider some changes, we could look at it. So.
Yeah. I think the complaint that I was hearing is that it didn't have to go off every day at noon.
And
For what
just to
it's worth.
clarify, and again, I apologize for my chuckle, but I knew what you were talking about, Mark. I think it's one person, and this person isn't even a resident.
So.
Yeah, and she's complaining that her
Right,
mom,
yeah.
blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
And one of the reasons why we do it every day, not only just to mark noon, it's also to test it to make sure that it's working
Yeah.
properly. You know, and I know some other cities don't do it as often, but the quick noon blast is to make sure that it's working. I mean, right, Chief? I mean, that's one of the other reasons why
It's a good testing system.
for that. So for case of a storm,
Yeah.
the sirens are working.
Yep.
Now, when it comes to that, it's up to the fire chief to regulate when that goes off, correct? Through the state? The fire chief, or is it
I think
city?
the city council would have a fair amount.
We know it's,
control.
because at the end of the day, there still are sirens and we can
Right.
set them. But we've always worked with the fire department to determine how we're gonna make those decisions. And to do that, so. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention, and we just got this actually dropped off today. Tomorrow, the Civil War folks are gonna be in the old courthouse square. I'll pass it around. They do it every year. It's an educational thing, but the public is invited. It's from 2 to 4. May 9th, it's tomorrow. And again, they have some Civil War reenactments, education, and different types of things. This was dropped off at City Hall today. I know Bob Zika, retired teacher, spearheads this. I've attended a couple. I plan on trying to catch a little bit of it tomorrow afternoon if possible, but we'll pass that around if anybody would like to come to that tomorrow at the
I'd say blow the cannon twice. I think.
Twice?
Yeah, they.
I was gonna give an update on that during my.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so you're gonna get, well, he dropped it off today to invite, people to come by, but you can mention about the, yeah.
I'll just wait then.
Yeah, mention that, so, okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, nothing came off the consent agenda. Mayoral appointment for the confirmation to the library board. Everybody has the sheet in front of them. So this is how we're gonna do it. We had an opening on the library board because of a resignation. We also had an opening because of the fact that we did have a city council member that was appointed. By the way, we have the right to have one city council member on there. You can't have any more than one. That's what state statutes And we sort of put out the feelers between the people who are involved with the library about who would be interested. So what I'm proposing is to go back to the future. This is the way we used to do it. In fact, former council member Al Gould, this is when I started. So there were 2 people that were interested in serving. So Elizabeth Bauer, people know who Elizabeth is. She is involved in a number of things with the library, big time with the swim club, been very helpful. She's going to fill in the empty seat that was left with the resignation, and Denise Polzer, former council member, is going to take the other open seat. So those are the 2 new ones on the library board in front of us. And then what I'm asking to do is that there will be a council advisor. This is a voting position. This is what we used to do. They get all of the notices for the meetings and stuff. If there's a concern and so on, and Council President Travis Hooker has agreed to serve in that. If the way it was that if there's meetings that something comes up at a meeting that we think is important, we need to make sure someone's there to discuss with them, and so on and so forth. So again, I went back to the way it is. Of course, the school rep itself is open. It is either the superintendent of schools or their representative that they appoint, and so on. So you notice, so we still have the 1 vacancy. But again, so my proposal was to fill the 2 positions with the citizens that are interested, and then the 1 council member would be an advisory member to get that information, similar that we did it back about 7 or 8 years ago. I think is when we changed it. So I'm requesting that those appointments be made to the library board. Like somebody like to make a motion? Oh,
I'll make a motion that we approve the mayoral appointment for the library board.
Second.
okay. We have a motion and second that we would go ahead and appoint Elizabeth Bauer and Denise Polzer to the library board, and that also that we would appoint as a council advisor Councilmember Hooker. Are there any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. It's agreed to. Administrator's report.
Just going to piggyback quick on something the mayor said, talking about the fire event and some of the purchases they've made in the past. I believe Chief King at the rural meeting on April 25th had a list of vehicles that he passed out. I'm going to make sure you folks, that he has that available for you guys at a future meeting to really kind of see just what they've funded over the year. And as the mayor noted, clearly that saves the city, both city and rural, a lot of money. So that's again, something that I think I'll make sure we get that out. Back to the rural meeting, and the mayor alluded to this just a little bit. So we've been, basically since I started here, we've been talking about the potentiality of coming up with a fire district, something more than our kind of de facto agreement that we have with rural fire and the city of Durand Fire Department. Yeah, whenever we talk about this, you can't stress enough at how well the service has worked over the years. It's just that it's been a little awkward on some, when it comes to funding bills back and forth, their bylaws a little different than ours in some degrees. And so in my time here, we've overcome a lot of those issues, a lot of the pay differentials, some of the pay discussions, the equity in sharing some of the payroll, and with the ladder truck agreement that we had a year plus ago, splitting the costs, especially for large equipment, a little more equitably. Well, at the meeting here just a couple weeks ago, their board, a 10-member board, all the townships involved, voted to move forward to at least look at a contract for a joint fire district. It's a big step forward for them. So that is now in the process of being reviewed by our city attorney as to see if we can come up with something that works. And we're gonna start it off with the city side of things, because obviously that's who I represent, and making sure that we're covered completely with that. But the ball continues to roll there, and I think we're to a point that we're in a lot better shape of coming up with something than we have been probably ever. So kudos to a lot of people involved, and clearly Don Hartung, who I've been working with for a lot of years now, and Chief King and a lot of others. But so that'll be coming forward, and I don't know that I'm I'm optimistic that at least a draft of that agreement will come before the council at the next meeting, but then the mayor's noted also, just kind of talking about, how that has worked in general in the past, and so, I think that's really good news.
And it actually worked out best with a couple members absent tonight to wait till the next.
Exactly, that worked out well too, knowing that, yeah.
So it worked out
that couple
better
gonna be gone.
this way.
I have Matt's report later, so I get some pool things that will be updated there. I did get a note today from Security Financial that, you recall that we had our application process for the loans at the last meeting, that they met recently and good to go. So at our next meeting, we'll have the final documentations or basically approval, just as it was laid out at the last meeting. So that's good news as well for our upcoming projects. We're working on, Councilmember Kavanaugh, since I think she's been working for the county, she's been involved in the finding a spot for the dog park. Matt and I met with them and their group and a couple of their individuals. My goodness, that's gotta be 3-4 months now. And one of the places that they came up with, they're still looking at places in the city, and one of the areas that they came up with as a possibility is basically as you go down, where the snow lot is off Tarrant Park, right across from the softball field, that if you keep following that road down, we have a pump station. Oh gosh, Mayor, that's several hundred yards back in there. But that property that's adjacent to that road, that'd be then to the west, is all city property. And it's wooded property, and it's got some sparse areas. The dog club people looked at that and think that's where they might want to have the dog park. So we're going to meet with them coming up here soon, and whether it's the next meeting or the meeting after that. But again, another one that would be appropriate for Councilmember Kavanaugh to be here. But so we think we have a possibility of a dog park here coming up after a lot of years of talking about that one as well. So
In fact, being a floodplain, it's probably one of the few things we can
right,
do.
exactly. And frankly, it's a lot of not very productive property for the city. There's enough people that use it a lot for any other recreational purposes, and as the mayor notes, it's in the floodplain, so nobody's ever going to build on it. But it's dry enough for most of the year that it could be used for that. So we're going to pursue that. The administrator position update. Kevin Brunner was on vacation for a while, but he got back here just the other day. You can look on our website, both the mayor's interview.
I watch my own thing.
Yeah, I haven't watched it either. So that's out there, and the community update and those type of things are all out there. At last notice, we had 10 applicants, which is good. Kevin said he'd like to see a few more, and he knows there's a few other people out there that he's anticipating are going to go ahead and apply. One thing I did want to note, and I just noticed this today. So you were all forwarded basically a draft schedule for this process. One thing I noted today, and Mayor and I talked about it a little bit, is two things. The first one. So obviously the applications have to be in by Saturday the 11th. So then sometime next week, and Kevin has it down on the list as the 14th or 15th. He has a lot of Tuesday meetings. I think he was forgetting that we typically meet on Wednesdays. But either I'm looking behind and see the 14th or 15th next week to basically for the council to review the resumes and kind of whittle it down to see who you want to ultimately interview. But then they have some time that the semifinalists prepare video interviews and answer some questions, things like that. So I think there's a good chance that we might be getting together next week, and at this point I don't quite have that date, but it's probably either going to be Tuesday or Wednesday for about, as Kevin noted, about an hour and a half. He's not going to be here in person, he's going to be here virtually to kind of go over these, and he would get the resumes to you ASAP.
So basically, we're talking a closed session meeting.
Correct, yes.
It'd be a closed session, and it would be the only topic we would do. And after he had mentioned about trying to get together next, Wednesday's only the real good day for me.
Yeah, okay.
The 15th, is everybody thinking the 15th would be?
That's better for me too than
Okay.
the 14th.
I'll make it work if that's best.
It's Wednesday, yeah, and
Okay.
stuff is the only, and just with something I have going on the afternoon of Tuesday, so.
Okay. The other piece I'm sorry, Mayor.
No,
Just,
so let's sort of, we're gonna sort of plan on then, we'll about calling a meeting.
The other thing that we noticed today was, so basically, the dates that they have for the finalists to come to Durand for interviews and assessment center and the whole thing, the meet and greets, is actually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, well, yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday of Fun Fest weekend.
We just didn't think that was
Clearly,
gonna
that's
work.
not going to work.
We're gonna have
so-
to, we're gonna have to look at that
Yeah.
schedule a little bit.
So we'll have to look at, I would guess that they're gonna wanna shoot for the weekend after that then, at least the Thursday, well, last time it was it Thursday, or it was a Friday, Saturday?
Friday, Saturday,
Yeah.
that's what we did.
Yeah,
So we can discuss that once we get closer.
yeah, so, again, if, check your calendars, and if that weekend is an issue, or that Friday, Saturday is an issue, you know, please let me know ASAP, and then we'll talk about that one a little bit more.
What is the actual date?
Pardon me?
What is the date?
Of that.
What would be
Yeah,
14th
sorry,
and
Mark.
15th?
So no, so the 6th, 7th is out, we'd be probably looking at the 13th, 14th.
You want Friday,
15th, Friday,
Saturday.
Saturday.
I'm sorry.
14th,
Yeah,
15th.
14th, 15th,
Yeah.
yeah. If they're running it, he's giving 3 dates here. So he had the 6th through the 8th, but again, I'm thinking it's probably gonna be more like Friday, Saturday, at least if
That's what we did the last
Yeah.
time. I know, the one thing about it is, I believe we did it the last time, it was earlier in the year, so it wasn't, I know one time,
You're right,
now we're in the
right, yeah.
midsummer, that's what makes it a
That
little
was-
bit more
that was
difficult.
April.
But it is what it is, we have to pick our times. The other option, they talked about trying to do like a Thursday night, Friday thing, but of course, obviously, there's people with work schedules that comes into play
Right,
with that. That's the only other thing. It would be a situation of giving up a Saturday morning, but generally, we were able to seem to get wrapped up about midday. I mean, so it wasn't like we were asking anybody to give up their full Saturday. But we were able, you know, it would be a Saturday morning. And this is sort of a one-shot deal. I mean, it's the one time we're probably gonna ask people to meet on a Saturday morning. So,
Go
I'm
ahead.
surprised to hear that there was 10 applicants already. Everybody's thought it's like, this is gonna be.
Yeah,
Sparse.
yeah, that's, right, and boy, we had, I think there was like 8 very quickly, and so
Yeah.
now they're kind of trickling in, but Kevin was still pretty optimistic that, yeah, he said, you know, probably around 15 is where it's gonna be, so.
And how do you start whittling them down?
Well, basically, so as noted is, you will get every resume that we received, if the number's 15, you're gonna get 15, and he'll want you to review them, and then we'll talk about them, and as the mayor noted, you know, confidentially, so in a closed session, and come up with, and again, he has 6 to 10 semifinalists. If you wanna whittle that down even further, depending on how many you get, that's really your call.
Okay.
There's some that really stand out, but ultimately, again, can't stress enough, that this decision is the city council's,
Right.
not PAA's. So,
yeah, and then once we sort of get the picture of what we have, we'll sort of set that number. You know, remember what ends up happening is we get down to finalist. If we go that route, like we get down to like a final 2 or something like that, or final 3, now that's when they become public. So it's, we do this because obviously in a search type thing, but according to Wisconsin state law, once we get to what we are calling the finalists, those names are released to the press. And
That's
to the
good,
public.
yeah.
So, okay.
yep, final piece I have, so Matt and I have been working a lot on, again, coming up with options for Madison Street and when that project might occur and how we might be able to fund it. Clearly, I promised you that we will have a discussion about that prior to my leaving. One of the things we talked about is, so we got twofold, whether it's, you know, potentially scaling back the project or redoing things a little bit differently, that would be something to be discussed at Public Works. And then you have the financing part of it, of how much money you might have to borrow, what kind of rates you might have to adjust the sewer water rates, stormwater rates for as well, which is more of a finance realm. So we were talking about the potentiality of a joint meeting, talk to the mayor about it a little bit more. You know, frankly, the fact that I think there's only one member of the council that isn't on one of those 2 meetings, the mayor suggested that we just have a full discussion of the whole thing at a future council meeting. So that will probably occur, if not at the next meeting, at the first meeting in June. I see we're filling up the next meeting pretty quickly, and that would be, I mean, my goodness, that's, again, just off the cuff, that's easily gonna be probably an hour discussion. And so, but again, either the next meeting or the June 12th meeting at the latest. So we can, you know, formulate some questions and get some questions answered and things of that nature. So, just something to look forward to.
Busy?
Yeah, and that's all I have.
Okay, any questions for the city administrator? Hearing none, move on. Discussion possible action regarding a liquor and malted beverage license for Harry One Incorporated, doing business as To Go, owner Harwinder Singh at 610 Highway 10, the BP gas station. As we said, we had a public hearing tonight. No one did come speak for or against the issuing of this license. As we know, I think that they are selling gas there, we know that for sure. So, can you walk in and buy stuff? I haven't actually,
Yeah, I got gas there and it looked like they were open on the inside, but I was in a hurry.
and this would just allow them obviously to start selling
Yeah.
I
the
thought I
beers.
saw the open sign up
Oh, that's,
in the last couple days. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking they are
it's
open.
good to get it full, good to get the competition back. Any questions concerning the, if not, would somebody like to make a motion concerning this license application?
I'll make a motion that we approve the liquor license for Harry One Incorporated.
Second?
And we have a second? Okay, it's on the floor. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion's agreed to. Next we'll move on to the police department. Chief Ridgway.
Just to follow up a little bit on the Civil War reenactment, we are restricting some parking down there this evening. The signs are going up where the cannon's going to be shooting. Probably 4 parking stalls on Madison Street and 4th Avenue there. The cannon will go off every hour starting at 9 a.m. They have groups of school kids going through during the day, and as each group goes through every hour, they'll set the cannon off. So starting at 9 a.m. and then it'll go off for the public probably around 4 o'clock, a little before 4 o'clock as well. So you'll hear that. I put it out on Facebook today just to alert the public that the cannon will be going off again in the city. So. It's a great event. I've been there a little bit, hanging out with the kids and stuff, and watching that event. And it's a great event. We get a lot of kids in town. Pepin comes up, and I think St. Mary's does it as well. So, EVOC training. Brandon's going to be going to EVOC training at the end of May here. EVOC is Emergency Vehicle Operations Training. It's week-long training. It'll add an instructor certification for him. He'll be able to teach the police department, and then we also verified with the instructors that he'll also be able to do the ambulance service. So Angie and I have been talking. We're going to get that scheduled in July. So Brandon will also be able to instruct with the ambulance and get them certified in EVOC as well. So it'll be a good training. We had been going through Chief Jesse Van Alstyne and Pepin. Chief Van Alstyne's plan is to retire probably within the next 3 to 4 years. So I wanted to get somebody trained that could kind of take over. Jesse was our only instructor in our county, so it'd be nice to have Brandon in-house. Like I said, he'll be able to do ambulance service and police department as well, so it'll be good to have. We had a few issues with our 2018 squad car. That's our oldest squad in our fleet. Some front end issues. It was making kind of a knocking sound when sometimes when you go around the corner. So I had Adams inspect it. There was a bearing going out on it. Not sure how much it's going to cost, but we are having a few squad issues with our 2018. But we'll just keep maintaining that and keep it running for us.
How many miles are on that?
I believe we're at 86,000 on that right
Really, I was gonna thought you were gonna say a lot more than that.
Yeah, the problem we have with our city squads is they get a lot of turning on city streets
Sure.
and corners, and then your idling hours as well. So just so you know, reference, we usually try to trade them every 6 years because you look at the hour meters and you look at what Ford says per hour. There's so many miles that it simulates, and our last squad was like 305,000 miles if you add in the engine hour times. So,
All right, yeah.
so yeah, we start seeing a lot of issues with our squads as they get older than 6 years, and we start having a lot of expensive repairs and things. So we will be looking at 2025 for that squad replacement, unless for some reason it just quits having issues and it's a great squad for the rest of the year. But it's starting to have some issues. But we'll keep an eye on it and see if we're gonna do that replacement in 2025 budget cycle or not. Fire department event on the 18th. I worked with Mandy Paschal on the 5K. We're gonna have John's gonna come in and just help with the 5K, and then our normal part-time officer Zach Phillips will be in that day as well. They'll help out with traffic control for that 5K, and then for the night shift it'll be Mike Stalkey will be working that night. So we're just been planning that fire department event. And then Fun Fest, our schedule's looking really good with Fun Fest. We're gonna have plenty of help for the parades. So Fun Fest planning is going really well as well for us. We're unfortunately down to basically Zach Phillips as our only option for part-time, but with the addition of Officer Tulip, we've been doing really good with getting things filled when we need to. So that's all I have.
And on that one, that's on the Fun Fest subject, I see that the Fun Fest committee has put a map up on social media about where stuff is gonna be, because a lot of questions about how it was gonna be organized. It was good to see. I don't know, they must have gone up in the last couple of days, I'm assuming. And it was good to see that they decided, so this public should know.
Yeah.
Have a good idea of what the layout's gonna be for Fun Fest, so. Any questions for Chief Ridgway? Okay, hearing none. Discussion possible action regarding the renewal of the SRO contract between the city and the Durand, Arkansas School District. This is something I said, and again, I wasn't even sure exactly what the dates were on it, but I know it was coming up that the 3 years was going, so I went ahead and I talked with the city administrator and the chief, and then went ahead, let's get this renewed. It's in our budget, it's in their budget. So, Chief, if you wanna say the process and to get it here tonight for approval.
Yeah, I met with Troy Gunderson, the interim superintendent for the Durand, Arkansas School District. I was recommending a couple of changes. One was to the billing. I'm trying to see what section it is, section 4. We had it in there that we would bill monthly. Well, that hasn't been how we've been doing it. We had an agreement with the school that we would just bill biannually. So I just wanted the contract to reflect how we were actually billing it. So we changed that last sentence in number 4. Obviously, in section 11, we changed the dates for the contract. So this would be through 2027, and then upon mutual written consent, an additional 3 years. So it's practically a 6-year contract. And changed the signature lines at the end to reflect the change in the superintendent for the schools. But other than that, it's the same contract. When I met with Troy, he said he had a meeting with his admin team, and because he said obviously he doesn't have any experience working with Brandon, so he listened to his admin team, and he said that they had great things to say about Brandon, and that they couldn't imagine not having him in their school district. So he had great things to say. He definitely was in support of this agreement, and he's going to present it to the school district board on May 15th. Wednesday night, May 15th.
Again, as we said, the split, so basically how this works is based on the cost of our officer. And if you want to explain how that works, how that pays out?
Sure, yeah, and there's a lot of percentages mentioned, and especially in item number 3, but what it all boils down to is just a hair under 70% of Officer Bonnerup's time and benefits are paid by the school district, and then 30% is ours over the course of essentially the entire year. Obviously, we've talked about obviously him being freed up in the summer to cover shifts and things of that nature, but that's really how it plays out. And even some increases we've had in some of the fringe benefit areas. Again, the school has not balked at paying those. Fair to say this agreement has worked out very, very well. Both for the city and the school district, from the standpoint of we've already got that officer available in any sort of an emergency, and they've got a presence in the school, and a lot of the work that communities that don't have an arrangement like this spend a fair amount of time in the school based on things that can happen. And again, we're not talking about the huge items. There's just a lot of stuff that can come up, and so. Again, I think it's kudos to the school district and kudos to the city council for coming up with this idea, and obviously Chief Ridgway as well. And I strongly recommend that we move forward with another 3 years of this.
And one of the things we don't hear a lot about is with some of the students, like all school districts have, and so on and so forth, that there's possibility of with an officer there for certain things before they fall through the cracks. Can they get some help? Can we assist and so on? And I think that's probably one of the things we don't hear about because it's between, and so on. But I think we see here that those things are so important.
Yeah, and it's been great, they added an additional human services worker up there 4 days a week as well, so that just kind of adds to the services that we can provide to the kids to help with everything that they deal with in life as kids, so.
And for anybody that's new on the council, the reason why the school district just doesn't hire their own police officer is because you have to be an agency that has the ability to swear officers. And obviously, the school doesn't have the power to do that. It has to be us, or it has to be the county or somebody that would. And obviously, we've had this agreement with the school district. But again, it has to be an agency that has the ability to swear an officer into duty, and so on. That's the reason why one of the reasons why. And it helps us because it also gives us another 30% to cover the shifts that we have to cover. So.
I'll make the motion to renew the SRO contract with the City of Durand and the Durand, Arkansas School District.
Second.
We have a motion second to approve the renewal of the SRO contract. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, being a contract, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hooker.
Yes.
Councilmember Weisenbeck.
Yes.
Councilmember Weisapple.
Yes.
Councilmember Menke.
Yes.
All four in favor.
Motion's agreed to. Okay, next we move on to the fire department. Anything else to report?
No, nothing else from me.
Of course. Ambulance, Director Bignall.
In April, we had 32 calls. 29 of those calls were 911 calls. All of those calls were made. We had 3 transfer requests. All 3 were also made. There's a list of where our transfers came out of and where they went to. Upcoming events in April, we had some training on documentation, assessment, and fire rehab. May, we did our C-spine, longboarding, stair chair. June, we are planning for wounds, fracture, shock, and heat emergencies. We also will have an ambulance at the 5K for the fire 5K. And we just hired on a new EMR, which is a local resident, Logan Mason. He will start doing his training come mid-May. And we are currently still looking for 1 to 2 seasoned EMTs to join our team.
Just a note, both of us forgot to mention, so the Advent has the opening of the fire, or the garage,
Yep.
next Monday.
Next Monday.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah, so from the standpoint of, if anyone's still interested and hasn't RSVP'd, maybe we could sneak in. But at minimum, I think it's at noon.
It's when they open the new ambulance. Is it all a garage or is it?
I know, yeah,
what do
I
we
probably,
call it?
yeah.
What do we call it?
It's
not, but it's
obviously
nice.
way
It's nice
more
to
than
have
just
a
a
big,
garage,
large
yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
One of our issues before with it, the ambulance, our newer ambulances didn't fit in the old at the hospital, so obviously the work of Advent Health to get that situation improved. They received a grant. There was a major grant they received and was able to get that work done. So
It's really nice.
it is really well. That's good to hear. Okay. Any other questions for the ambulance service?
Just great numbers again, right? Like we're not missing stuff.
Yep.
So
Yep,
it's just-
looking great. Guys doing good work. Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, Public Works Utilities.
All right, I've got Matt's report, so I'll try to keep it more brief than he typically does. I had to throw that dig out for you. You may have noticed that Matt's new truck has arrived. Still working on basically getting it outfitted with lights and radio. So as a reminder, you'll see in the bills tonight, that truck came in at $45,000 through the state bid contract. Have to put about another $10,000 in for the lights and everything else, so it'll come in close to $55,000. But recall that we did get $23,000 for a past truck, and so basically the truck that he had got knocked down the line. So the net cost to us are just about $32,000. Spring cleanup is complete, went pretty well. couple of minor complaints that were addressed, and but again, I think it's a great thing for the community to be able to get rid of some of their yard waste for really some minimal cost. Hydrant flushing is also complete. We didn't have any issues there. The parks restrooms are open and all the water is on at the parks, as we have some people camping already. Next Tuesday, the 6th Avenue pre-con schedule is scheduled for 2 o'clock here at City Hall. Basically, go over any questions contractors might have. Both Russ and Kevin with Cedar will be here working on that. Next week, the May 13th, we'll have seal coating done. Matt has a letter in front of you that we've also put on Facebook and answered a couple questions or comments on that. Again, that is also weather permitting, but if anyone has any questions, just feel free to give us a call. Couple of bad news items. The #1 pump at our main lift station has failed. The pump went out for inspection and the motor is completely burned out. Matt's working on options to repair, but the initial fines are probably going to be about $15,000 to $20,000, and about 14 weeks out is probably the downside. Obviously, we can still make some things work temporarily, but yeah, it's a pretty big item. So that combined with, you'll see in tonight's bills, another $24,000 for the wash press that need to be replaced at the sewer. We have roughly about $70,000 a year for operational and replacements and fixes. So obviously that takes up almost about 50,000 of it. So obviously Matt will keep an eye on things for the remainder of the year. Pool, building and plumbing permits have been approved. We're still waiting on the state swimming pool review. The state had contacted us, and US Aquatics and Cedar had some clarification on some things. But the building and the footing excavation and possible concrete work will start next week, May 13th, Monday. So we've had some comments of not much going on at the pool, so what's happening?
Now we're ready to roll.
So just a couple of grievances on that. Obviously, we've had a really nice spring, so people are obviously able to start with some of the underground work. Frankly, in a normal year, we would just be beginning on that anyway. But again, obviously, when that work started early, and now there hasn't been much done. So just a note that things will start happening up there beginning next week. The Madison Street items options I talked about already for our next meeting. Matt also wanted to note that the consumer confidence report for our water system that is required by the DNR every year is published in the paper, and the mayor had a copy there. And we also have copies at City Hall if anyone would like them. And final thing he wanted to note is that summer hours for his staff will start next Monday as well. So basically that is 4 9s and then off at noon on Friday. So 7 to 4:30 Monday through Thursday, and then 7 to noon on Fridays. Not a big notice, but just a note if you get any questions on that.
And this is about is it 3rd or 4th summer we've done?
Yeah, at least.
It's worked well.
It's worked, yeah. Yeah, again, and a lot of it is summer projects, especially like the mowing and things like that, to have longer time versus the set down and those type of things. We really haven't gotten into any discussion of 4-day weeks, in our business, especially with the water sewer stuff. We really feel the need that somebody has to be available. Well, again, frankly, it's every day a week, but the 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and then obviously we have people on call every weekend. So I don't know that, and it wouldn't be Matt's recommendation either to ever go to just the 4 days, because then we got 3 potential days of overtime, especially with the water and sewer utilities. So again, we think this works well enough for the projects, and has been working well, as the mayor noted, for the last 3 years.
So I just have a quick question. Any idea how old that pump was that went out?
The pump was not all that old, as I remember Matt saying. Frankly, and again, this will be a better question for him next time, Mark.
Okay.
But clearly, he wasn't happy with the design. So even part of what he's looking at is a different type of motor for the lift station, and that he thinks is going to have a little longer life. This is something that we've had issues with, again, I wanna say it was 2015, 2016, we said we got it, and we've had issues with it just about every year, so.
Where is that lift station?
Number one is, I'm not exactly sure.
Does it work from the sewer plant this way?
Yeah, I think
Is it-
so.
is it the one-
Yeah,
the
The
one-
pound there?
One by the dog pound.
okay, yes, that's what you mean, the site, yep, yeah, no, not that, yeah, close to the sewer plant.
Yeah, yep.
Any other questions for the city administrator? I'd like to make one other comment about, we was talking about what the pool, looks like we're gonna have to make some decisions here about some color schemes on some stuff. I don't know if I'm that good at it, it's all gonna be blues and grays if it's my choice, but, so we might have some help here from the council members. I'm gonna be speaking to the pool group, the committee they have with helping design, and if a couple of those folks come up with some things. He's already made a couple quick decisions on some drain colors, but there's certain things and stuff, so we might need a little help on picking out some colors on a few things. Also, you mentioned about, finally got Matt's truck. It was announced at the rural fire that the next replacement vehicle for the fire department will be a tender, also known as a tanker, but it's called tender and so on and so forth. 30 months.
Out, yeah.
They've already planning on ordering it, but we're sitting there going, and by the way, the Fire Relief Association is putting quite a bit of money into this. Our share of it, or the rural, is gonna be quite small compared to what the actual cost of the vehicle is, but it's 30-month from ordering till delivery. So that's almost three years.
Yeah.
So that's why they're saying we gotta sort of get it started, the ball rolling now for something we're gonna get about 2.5, almost 3 years from now, so. Anyway, okay, again, no other questions for Public Works? Okay, let's pay the bills. Not too big of a stack, everybody's got it at both sides of the table.
We'll have to go both sides.
Yeah.
Double down. What day was that pre-meeting?
Tuesday.
I know.
Tuesday at 2 o'clock here at City.
On the 14th?
6 years?
Yes, Tuesday the 14th.
And we'll finalize that other meeting about meeting next Wednesday here, once we speak with Kevin, but sort of plan on right now that we will be having one.
Yeah.
How early could we go on a Wednesday? Since it's more of a work meeting.
3:30.
That's as early, okay.
Nick, how
You
early?
can't go
You
early.
said how early?
You can't go earlier than that?
I get up at 3 in the morning, you wanna do that?
I'm usually up at 4:30. If we, could we go for a 5
Next Wednesday?
o'clock?
I can make whatever work.
How long's it gonna last, Mayor?
Well, by the time we review them, it's, Mark, are you okay at like 5
Yep.
o'clock on a Wednesday?
Yep, you can go as early as you want.
So let's sort of plan on, like a 5 o'clock meeting is what we're gonna try to do.
Yeah, I told him to agenda already started.
Any other committees coming up? We have enough stuff going on.
Once we, like I say, so as we talked about, the dog park thing is potentially.
Yeah, that's right, the dog park thing, it's about possibly setting that committee first before we get to.
I'm gonna ask if there's any progress on there, on that.
So they don't recommend their top 4 or 5, it's all on us.
Right, I mean, again, they'll weigh in as needed, but yeah, again, Nick, I can't stress that enough, that this is, the picks are yours. Yeah, they are gonna make, they'll go through and maybe they'll list some pros, cons type thing, or things that maybe they're,
Sure.
yeah, but yeah, but you'll see all of them.
And obviously you'll be here to chime in and I'll help go, right?
As necessary, yeah.
And then, as far as when we get to, usually wait to background checks until we get to the final. But there's certain things they like to do in advance for background, instead of waiting and then all of a sudden, you know, you want to get those done.
Do you want to grab?
As I said, they've done a lot of this, so.
See what about Travis?
Since you're talking back in.
You're not gonna sign these, or?
No, so
have to
we just need one more. So there's two already on that one, B, Joe, and so we're going back and forth. So we just need one more, your signature on those, Nick's on those. and
Oh,
they're
down
done.
here.
Yeah.
I see
there you
they
go.
were-
Yeah.
I got you, sorry about that.
Just 2 and 2, so we have to
Yeah, just- yeah.
get a third on each
I
one.
was confused.
So there, yeah, that one's good. All good, Nick?
Is that house fire reason, or is that?
That's just the sign.
That's the.
Well, you still gotta sign it.
payroll, Yep,
Yeah.
just sign that.
Yeah, just got to sign that. Schools are good.
It's like the whole week, once every week. So the fire department's doing this a little bit different. The white sidewalls are in the afternoon this time, and then another music at the evening. Because usually it used to be white sidewalls at night, and but I see they're doing it a little bit different this year.
Always get a good turnout, I'll tell ya.
Nice weather always comes in handy.
Yeah.
They get outside there, it's better. The acoustics inside that building for
Right.
music. It wasn't built for,
Has anybody looked at the forecast? Is it supposed to be nice?
by the time we get there.
Next Saturday, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's right.
I think generally get fairly lucky. Might get a scattered shower or something. Are you ready to forecast tomorrow? Tomorrow night?
This is-
Maybe in the morning, I thought, I saw it today.
I heard in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I did too.
How's that generator doing? Is that all installed?
Not quite, still a couple things to work on. But as Chief King said, it's here.
Yeah, I think they got the new paneling in. and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they're- I'm guessing it's pretty close to the go.
Travis, you don't know the app yet for the golf field?
I have not downloaded the app. I did the link through your, Isaiah's there. So I gotta download that.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion concerning the vouchers?
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the vouchers. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Weisenbeck,
Yes.
Councilmember Menke,
Yes.
Councilmember Hooker,
Yes.
Councilmember Weisapple,
Yes.
all 4 in favor.
Okay. Any other future agenda items? If not, we will just sort of plan on that we would meet in closed session next Wednesday, the 15th, to review resumes, and then the next regular meeting on the 22nd. If there's nothing else, would somebody make a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and second.